What's up, Atlanta? Thank you so much for joining our show today. We're going to talk about why you should listen to this podcast because we know that many of you look at YouTube or you listen to podcasts. And the reason you do it is because you have a specific thing that you're looking for. So I'm Al, your host. Mrs. D is the co host. And we're going to take you through a lot of specific things that we believe that you need to hear, even if it takes you out of your comfort zone. But you also will get the solutions that go with each one of them. And we will tell you why men and women approach things differently, and then how you can best work your solutions across that divide in a way that you both can collaborate and come to agreement. So we're going to tell you exactly how to do that. So in this show, we talk about marriage and only about marriage and relationships. So if you're thinking about getting married, if you're already married, if you're having difficulties in your marriage and you want to strengthen your marriage, you're in the right place because that's all we talk about. When we do an episode, we don't babble. We talk specifically about an issue. For example, next episode that you'll see from us will be on commitment. And we will spend 20 to 30 minutes talking only about commitment. We're going to tell you about some of the questions that come up around commitment, some of the issues that come up, some of the causals for why people perceive they don't get commitment. And then we're also going to tell you what some of the solutions are. When we do the commitment episode, we're going to give you a solution that you have never heard before. It's a totally different way of thinking about not only commitment, but about marriage as a whole in order to make your spouse happy. We know this works because we tried it on ourselves and we know it works. We also know that there's very specific differences in men and women because we're just designed differently. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. The reason you women can't fully understand why a man does some of the things he does, because he's from Mars. You ain't from Mars, right? And the reason he will never understand a woman totally, because he ain't from Venus. You're designed differently. And a woman make decisions based on emotion, and a man will make decisions based on logic. Those two are not necessarily compatible, but you can learn to appreciate the differences, and then you can learn how to deal with each other in a way that is not arguing, not fighting, but collaborating and working together. And so we're going to give you a unique way of looking at that that's going to change your life. And that's the reason why you should join us in this show and listen to our episodes. One of our episodes, for example, is called Toxic Expectations. Now, we know that a lot of you want to get to that right away because even though you don't think that what you expect of your spouse is toxic, but you're always fighting about it. And you can't quite understand why you're always fighting over this thing because you haven't realized that you set them up for failure when you first came up with the expectation. And that might be a little hard to comprehend right now, but we're going to break that down and tell you exactly how some of the expectations are toxic and there's a better way of getting at what you want without setting your spouse up for failure in the beginning. So we're going to get into all of that. So let's first acknowledge that marriage is hard. And one of the reasons you want to listen to us in this show, because we acknowledge that marriage is hard. Anyone that tells you that marriage is not all that complicated is lying to you, and you should not listen to them. We also know that there's a lot of people giving you bad advice. If you have friends telling you how to manage your marriage and they have never been married, they're going to send you to divorce court. You might have family doing the same thing. You may have certain people on TV that you listen to because they sound good. They give you nice motivational quotes. And you know some of the people I'm talking about. But if those people are on their third marriage, how are they going to teach you how to manage a marriage? How are they going to teach you how to build a long-term marriage? And they've never been in a long-term marriage. So you should always take advice from someone that's been there, who's done that. One of the reasons why, if you're a Black female or an African-American female, one of the reasons you want to get on this show is because if you're between 50 and 59 years old, that's the largest group that will wind up in divorce. I didn't make that up. That's from national statistics. So if you're 40 years old, think you got a happy marriage? Well, according to history, the largest group in America that wind up in divorce is African Americans between 50 and 59. I hate to think that's true, but Don't wait to find out if it's true. You need to come to this podcast and figure out what to do differently to make sure that you can survive past 60 years old and have a strong marriage past 40 years old or whatever it might be, right? Let me drop a couple numbers on you real quick just to give you some flavor for why you should listen and why you should invest in your marriage. First of all, research shows that 4 out of 10 first-time marriages will end in divorce. So you don't want to be the 4 out of 10 because you think that you're on your third year of marriage and you think your marriage, you got it all figured out. 4 out of 10 of you are going to wind up in divorce. That's just a fact, right? So you don't want to take any chances. Come here and we'll help you answer all of the questions you don't even have yet because you ain't supposed to have them, right? We've been there, done that over 43 years. So we know what the questions are going to be when you hit 10 years of marriage and how you're going to not only say that the other person is taking me for granted, you don't spend enough time with me, you don't want to talk to me, all that stuff, right? We're going to tell you exactly what causes that. And we're going to tell you exactly how to fix that in advance so that you don't have those issues. The second number I want to give you, the average age of couples going through their first divorce is 30 years old. That's the average age. So again, if you're 25 years old, think your marriage is all that, girl or boy, you need to worry about when you hit 30 because according to the data, that's the average age for when people get divorced. Now, that doesn't say very much for the older folks either. And the reason I say that is because if you're on your second marriage, let's say you went through the first one, now you're on the second one, and you're cruising past 40, right? 60% of all second marriages will end in divorce. So we need to make sure that we protect marriage. And there's a way that we can build a strong marriage that doesn't require fighting, it doesn't require blaming, but there's a different way you have to look at it. And we have a unique solution that we'll share with you next episode on exactly how you can approach marriage where you're not arguing and you're not fighting, but you're getting to a healthy place, totally different way. You will never have heard this solution ever in your life. I know that's true. I scoured the internet recently to see if this was out there, and this solution is not out there anywhere. It goes against what all of the experts are saying you need to do to protect yourself. Make sure you get what you need out of a marriage. Make sure you get your expectations met, all that stuff. We're going to shatter all of that and tell you how you can do it better, achieve a better outcome, and not fight, not argue. Now, why is that important that I focus on not arguing, not fighting, and that sort of thing? In terms of a national survey that came out recently, the number one reason why couples get divorced is a lack of commitment. So our first episode will deal with commitment because that's the number one reason that people get divorced, right? So if you are married for more than 5 years, you already know that's true because you're already questioning your spouse's commitment. They used to have very strong commitment to your happiness, to your security, to your safety, to your joy, right? They wanted to support your personal hobbies. They wanted to support your personal business endeavors. They wanted to support your personal career moves, right? But now that you're 10 years in, guess what? You're fighting because you don't think they support you. They're not committed to you. They don't want you to go off and start your own business. They want you to wait. They don't want you to go off and go back to school because you can't afford it. There's a whole bunch of things that come into play, but commitment is a big deal. It is the single reason, on average, why people get divorced. The second reason people get divorced, believe it or not, and ladies, I'm sorry, I have to address this one to you, because in the difference between men and women, women are the ones that seem to press arguing more than men do. Men tend to want to run away from arguments for a reason. They call it fight or flight. You've heard that, right? That's brain science. Fight or flight. So when you get into a stressful situation or a dangerous situation, your brain has one of two responses: fight and protect myself. And how many times, ladies, have you tried to start a conversation about a problem and it seemed like your husband is just fighting you? Well, that's what the brain told him to do, protect himself. Because you're coming across in such a way that you're threatening him, you're trying to control him, You're disrespecting him. You're doing all these things, and the brain told him to fight. It ain't his fault. The brain told him to fight. There's only one other thing the brain will tell him to do: flight, run, right? So if you understand that's the way humans are built, according to science, when you're in those stressful, dangerous, threatening situations, threatening is the key word, right? We see threats in a lot of different ways. You will either fight or you'll run, right? So if you want to understand a man and why he does what he does, remember that he's either going to fight or he's going to run. If you don't want him to do either way, then you need to show up in this episode, because we're going to give you a brand new way of dealing with that does not require you to argue, fight, and it doesn't encourage him to run away from you. Now, men, we got some stuff for you too, because next week, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about you fellas when it comes to commitment and how you have let your spouses down, your wives down when it comes to commitment, because you was an expert at this in your first 6 months of marriage. And before you got married, you were an expert at demonstrating commitment to her joy, her happiness, her safety, her security. You even went out of your way to make her smile every single day. What's up with those rose petals you put on the bed? You didn't have to do that to get her to your bedroom, but you did it for a reason. Why is that? You were committed to her joy, because you know she was going to giggle when she saw that little extra work. So you already proven that you're an expert at this, and we're going to talk about this next week, because commitment, fellas, is not a hard thing to do, and you've already proved that you can do it, right? So let's jump ahead to why marriage is healthy, because according to the doctors, if you're in a marriage relationship, you will live on average 10 years longer than those that are not married. That should be a reason right there to invest in saving and improving your marriage. Because according to the experts, there's a study out. You can look this up yourself if you want. It's called Divorce and Death. So divorce and death shows that broken marriages can kill at the same rate as cigarettes. I don't know about you, but that blew my mind when I first heard that. I'm not sure if I believe that to be true, but according to the experts, we know you will live longer if you're married. And so it kind of goes the opposite direction, that if you get divorced, you will die sooner, just like you'll die sooner if you smoke cigarettes, right? Kind of makes sense. So there's a reason why you should invest in your marriage to be healthier, and the ways to make your marriage healthier is to join this show and listen to us talk about various issues, and we will always give you solutions and ideas in order to make things better. We just don't bash women. We don't bash men. We don't just talk about issues. We will never talk about anything unless we give you a solution to go with it. According to the experts, we take a lot of pills, we take medications, we take, dietary things in order to make ourselves live longer, right? Science has proven that works. But science has also proven that the only non-biological thing that we can do to extend our life expectancy is to get married. That's just plain science. Look it up on the internet if you don't believe me. Getting married will extend your life. It's the only non-biological thing you can do to extend your life. That's the reason you got to come to us. You got to sit down and give us 20 minutes, because we can help you live longer, and we can help you improve your life, which will make your marriage better and make you happier. And we know that's what you want. We have lots of experience in being able to teach you this. One of the reasons that we know that we can help you is I worked in corporate America for a lot of years, and I'm a certified trainer. I'm a master facilitator. I'm training people on problem solving and conflict resolution. I run a nonprofit where I teach teenagers and their parents how to resolve conflicts with words instead of bullets. We also teach them problem solving. We teach them how to negotiate. We teach them how to build credit scores above 750 right out of high school. We teach them a whole bunch of things. We teach them how to become millionaires and break the cycle of poverty. So I have an expertise in teaching people a lot of different things, right? The other thing that Mrs. D has an expertise in is people. She loves teaching people how to get better outcomes for their life and make them happier. She didn't want to be on the top as a bureaucrat making lots of money, but not helping people. So God bless her for knowing a long time ago what her passion was in helping people. She's currently learning more about mental health because one of the things that she wants to strengthen is her ability to help people that are depressed, people that are in despair. You guys know better than I do that when you have marriage problems and your marriage is heading to a divorce, that's about as much despair as you can handle. So between her expertise and my expertise and our experience being married for 4 decades, having made some of the mistakes, having grown through those mistakes, who's researched a lot of these questions and found unique answers that we've applied. We've helped some of our friends improve their marriages. We know that you can improve your marriage if you just show up and spend 20 minutes getting specific solutions that'll help you. We know that will improve your marriage and it will make you a lot happier. There's 3 things that people ask us about. One of them, they say, you guys seem like friends instead of married couples for 4 decades. We work hard at doing that, and we are friends. People can argue whether we can be best friends or not. We won't even debate that. But even to call your wife your friend, one of your closest friends, that's a big deal. You can achieve that. We can tell you how. The other thing is people say, I can't believe you've been married 40 years because you act like newlyweds. We work very hard at being newlyweds, even though we've been married a long time, because we know that's one of the secrets to a long-term marriage. You got to keep fun in your marriage. You got to keep excitement in your marriage. You got to keep spontaneity in your marriage. You got to date. I promised my wife 20 years ago that I would give her 3 dates a week without fail. And going to dinner after church didn't count. Taking the kids with us didn't count. I had to take her one-on-one, just she and I, on 3 dates a week, and she will be the first one to tell you I did that for years. The only thing that stopped me from doing that when I went back to college at 57 years old to get a college degree and learn something new in order to add to my skill set, she told me, you don't have to do 3 dates a week, because I was still doing it. And so then I dropped down to 2 dates a week, right? That's one of the things that we take pride in, is acting like newlyweds. The third thing that people ask us about is, you guys seem to be together all the time. How can you stand being together that long, having been married for 40 years? Don't you get tired of each other? And the answer is, believe it or not, my wife and I love spending time together. We really do love spending time together. She used to hate golf, and she would send me off for 5 hours at a shot without her to play golf. One of the complaints women have is, you don't spend enough time with me, husband. And so it took a while to realize that, wait, he keeps asking me to spend time with them. Now, yes, he don't want to go and do some of the things I want to do, but he keeps asking me to go and do some of the things he wants to do. And I keep saying no. So it took a while to say, I'm the problem. He's not the problem. I'm the problem as a wife, because he keeps asking me and I say no. I hate golf. I don't want to do that. But you know what? I'll just go with him. I'll drive the cart. I'll sip on a soda, play with my phone while he play golf, right? What she wound up doing, though, is she started trying to practice a little bit, play a little bit. It didn't take her 6 months before she got hooked on golf. So now she drags me out there. We spend 4 or 5 hours together, and I don't even play with my guy friends much anymore. I play with her all the time because she's fun. She's so good, she beats me sometimes. That tells you how good the girl loves golf now. So my point is, ladies and guys, sometimes the thing that you say you don't want to spend time with your spouse on, that's because you haven't done it, or you haven't seen the value out of doing it, right? So we're going to talk about that, because we're going to break down realities of how do you get more quality out of your marriage and how you implement solutions that are going to bring your marriage a lot stronger together. And we have the experience, we have the know-how, we've been there, done that, and we can show you how to do it. We're going to give you one approach next week that's going to change your life. So join us for this show. Until then, have a blessed day.